Let's begin with 2 minutes of silence. This will help us focus on that part of us that's always the observer and never the observed, so that hopefully we can speak from that place the rest of the meeting. All right, that takes us to these first four quotes from the book, where Blavatsky kind of outlines what occultism isn't and a little bit about what it is. Most of this book, written by Blavatsky, is in her typical style, where it's a little bit disjointed, uh, kind of all over the place, but there's a lot of good stuff in it. Um, and I think she does that for a reason, so that we have to use our own minds to kind of digest what she's saying. But here, I think she tries to kind of turn away the people who are interested in this, excuse me, for the wrong reasons. And I thought it could be nice if we read these and then reflect on them for a little bit, and then try and speak from that place of reflection. Uh, because maybe more important than the words we say is just the fact that we're thinking about these things together. So the first one here is that occultism is not magic, though magic is one of its tools. And I'll pause for a bit, and if either of you want to say anything, please do. Two, occultism is not the acquirement of powers, whether psychic or intellectual, though both are its servants. Three, neither is occultism the pursuit of happiness, as men understand the word. For the first step is sacrifice, the second, renunciation. A lot of the world today, it seems to me, is built around us being happy. We do things because we want to be happy, and that's the main motivation for most of the people around us. And that makes sense, I suppose. But this number three here is saying that occultism is not the pursuit of happiness. The first step is sacrifice, the second, renunciation. So my question would be, what is more important than happiness? That would make us sacrifice. That would make us do something that's painful. I don't know if either of you have any thoughts. If not, that's okay too. Yeah, but I feel that most people in the world, if we were to ask them what's more important than happiness, outside of maybe protecting their family, I don't know if they would really, if they would know. For occultism is the science of life, the art of living. And I'll read that one, number 4 again. Occultism is the science of life, the art of living. Again, if anyone has any thoughts, please feel welcome to share them. This number 4, it reminds me of people in their respective fields doing something of high skill in art. Say someone flying a plane, it takes a lot of skill. You can do it in a way that's beautiful so that the act of flying in and of itself is an art. Uh, but this is saying that occultism isn't just in art, a particular direction someone can go in life. It is the art of living in and of itself, which kind of implies that everything we do in life, from the moment we wake up to the moment we go to bed, can be done in the same way that the pilot is flying his plane, with precision, with beauty, with accuracy, something that's worth doing for its own sake, which I think is kind of beautiful. It implies that everything we do can be done in a way that requires skill. And that is a part of what occultism is. It's a high ideal that we aim at that I don't know if I've ever met anyone in real life who's able to do this. And in the future meetings, I think as new people come, we'll probably go back over these first 4 because it's a good overview of what we're doing and why, maybe. And then we come to some more meat of the book. If anyone wants to read this first number 5, please do. I'll pause for a second to give someone a chance.
I can read.
Thank you.
It is easy to become a theosophist. Any person of average intellectual capacities and a leaning toward the metaphysical, any person of average intellectual capacities and a leaning towards the metaphysical of pure, unselfish life, who finds more joy in helping his neighbor than in receiving help himself, one who is ever ready to sacrifice his own pleasures for the sake of other people, and who loves truth, goodness, and wisdom for their own sake, not for the benefit they may confer, is a theosophist.
She says that it's easy to become a theosophist, and then it's this really long list afterwards. It's maybe not quite so easy. Yeah, I don't know if sacrificing your own pleasures for the sake of other people is easy unless someone's maybe awakened uh, in the theosophical perspective, that idea of booty, that that thing that's above the intellectual mind.
Audible?
Mhm.
So, actually, I want to add this is uh, uh, she said that who finds more joy in helping his neighbor than in receiving help himself. Means she's talking about like without expecting, we have to do something, we have to serve people or help someone or love someone without expecting anything in return. So, like as I mean, doing things for the sake of doing, not for the for expecting any result or anything, any appreciations, or maybe I love someone because I expect him or her to reciprocate that, or I'm helping someone that I'll get the help in return in some day when I need it. So we shouldn't expect that, she is saying. I mean, we have to do things for the sake of doing because that is needed. So I wanted to add this.
Those are all really good points. I feel that maybe it's hard for us to judge ourselves if, say, for instance, if we're loving someone with no interest in self, unless that other person doesn't return it. In which case, if we still love that person and get absolutely nothing in return, we know that it's true. But I don't know. I feel in a lot of cases there may be this subconscious desire for it to continue this example of love, to receive love, and that's why people love because they want to get it back. But I think that when it's not returned, we find out who we really are and what our motivations really are, and that could be a terrible thing for most people to happen, to love someone and they just don't care about you at all. But I think looked at from this perspective of occultism, it can train us to develop that ability to love unselfishly, which is definitely worth the pain that it would cause.
But how do you know that it is unselfish love and that you don't give something because you want recognition for it or you want appreciation for it? How do you know it's really unselfish?
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard to, I guess, unless what we want to happen doesn't happen and we keep doing it anyway because we know it's right. Yeah, outside of that, I don't know how we really know because it's so easy to trick ourselves, right?
And to do what is right, how do you know what is right? I mean, how
Something
do you
else
know
like
that you do something from love and not, yeah, that it is good for the other person, what you do?
yeah, it's true.
Like, it's obvious that if you love someone or if you hate someone, so something which we think or feel that that would be good for him or her, but that we think, that is our thought, that that might be good for him or her. We don't know exactly what the person's, I mean, that person's point of view or what. Uh, I mean, maybe I'll for this I'll narrate one story. So if you can, actually, I have when I was on 12th or 12th maybe. So there was a story in our book, school book, that one engineer went to one village, and he saw that wanted to do things uh, because he is so compassionate and he was so worried about the how the village life were, like the people were living their life very miserably, and they don't have any. So he saw that he wanted to, just because he was an engineer, so he felt that he will go and change some things in the village. And he one day he saw that some ladies were there. They were going too far from the village. It's a different place, some kind of 10-20 miles. They walk, and then they carry a pot, and then they get water in that pot. So every day he saw that, and he felt that how painful this could be for the ladies. So he thought that he can connections to the water connection to the every village, sorry, every house. So he just spoke to the male candidates in the village, and then they said that okay, it will be good, because our ladies are going too far. They were working in the rain and the sun, so it would be difficult for them. So everybody agreed, and then they got the connection to the water connection to the house. Then one day, all the ladies, they came, and they scolded him. Like he couldn't understand that what happened, why these ladies. I did a very good thing for them, because they were walking too far, and it would be very painful, or maybe very tiresome for them. But why they are scolding me? Then finally, the ladies told him that because always all the whole day we were staying at home. We don't have any chance to go out, and we have a chance to go out while we are getting the water. We go out, and we go out together, we have fun, and then we forget our all the miseries, sufferings, pains, and any problems, issues in our family lives. We talk to each other, and then we go and we come back, we laugh, we have fun. But you stole that chance also from us. So he does this thing out of compassion, or but this thing was not good for them. It was just, I mean, related. It's not completely relate to this, but somehow it relates to it. So because of that, I tried to narrate this story. So those whom we love, we feel that whatever we are doing for them, that is good for them, but we don't know their situation or what they think and what is good for them. So that is the thing.
Yeah, the story is a good illustration of that. That sometimes our intentions don't pan out the way we think they will. There's also this idea in theosophy that our intentions matter more than the results. I don't know if any of you agree or disagree or have any thoughts about that. If not, we could go on to number 6.
I think I agree with that. I mean, that's the only thing you know, at least if you are aware of it, what your own intention is, and you try to do the right thing. I think that's all you can do, because you don't know the ultimate results of your actions might be very different than what you may think. And so the only thing you can do is try to act from pure motive, I think.
Yeah, true. I have read somewhere in any theosophy book, I don't remember which book I have read this thing. Uh, if somebody asks you for help, if he needs your help, then give it. So we don't know what situation the person is facing. I mean, we know that our intention is good, but until they ask you for help, don't give it. Until they ask you for your opinion, don't give it.
Yeah, I agree with both of you. That, especially that all we can do is try. It makes me think of how little that I know. I know that my perspective is not the highest perspective that a human can attain. I know that there's things that I can't see. So I don't know. For me, when I think about trying to help the people around me, I know that what I need to do first is somehow figure out how to see things more clearly. And only then will my trying probably be effective. Just like you were saying, if we help someone before they ask, we're probably going to do something wrong. So I don't know. For me, unless someone's asking me for help directly, my trying is just trying to see things more clearly. And then, like the way that a master can see things as they are, if I can see things like that, I'll be able to help in the same way that they do, which is infinitely more helpful than I am as I am right now.
Yeah, and we can only act from the position and the development that we have done right now. I mean, that's all we have at this moment. We can try to, to develop ourselves more and become more aware of things and of ourselves. But this is the point where we are standing now, and this is so we don't have the perspective of a master yet, but that's how it is, and we just try our best, I think. Yeah.
If we have any doubt, then we want to give our helping hand, then we should ask them otherwise. Would you mind? I mean, if you need any help, if I can help you. So before that, we can take a permission. If they want, then they will say that, yeah, I want your help or I need your help.
Yeah, it's good practical advice. If there weren't any other thoughts on this number 5, did anybody want to read number 6?
Well, I can read it. But it is quite another matter to put oneself upon the path which leads to the knowledge of what is good to do, as to the right discrimination of good from evil, a path which also leads a man to that power through which he can do the good he desires, often without even apparently lifting a finger. I have to read that again because quite difficult sentence.
Yeah, most of HPB's sentences are long and convoluted, but there's a lot of good meaning behind them. And it seems to me it's kind of alluding to the masters that we just talked about, helping without lifting a finger.
So, how do you explain this sentence? Because I don't really,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't really get it.
Okay, let's see. I think she's trying to say that there's a way to help by knowing what is right, as opposed to just operating from the normal perspective that we have right now. There's a way to rise above it and see things as they are with that discrimination of good and evil she mentions there, and then help in such a way that other people may not understand what you're doing because you're not physically doing anything, but you're still helping. If that makes sense. That's the impression that the sentence is giving me. Like at the end where she says, you can do the good that you desire, but without even lifting a finger, which I think is a part of the beauty and the ideal of occultism. This theosophical idea that more important than our physical actions are our thoughts, and that if we can learn how to control those, and perhaps even control forces that are above thoughts, we could do even more good than we could in any other way.
So she's not talking about actually doing something in the physical world. She's just talking about like developing our or purifying our thoughts and our our mind, like
I think
because
so
we're
too. Sorry, what were you saying?
no, because of the last part, often without even apparently lifting a finger. So without actually doing something in the physical world, we can do the right thing just by purifying ourselves, by gaining more awareness of what is good and evil. Just going on the path itself already, we do good to others.
Yeah, I agree. I've been rereading Self Culture by Taimni lately, and the book is pretty systematic. Starts with the physical, and then the astral, the mental, and then higher. The last part I read was about purifying the emotional body, and it mentions how the more that we can purify our emotional or astral body, depending on what you're reading, that part of us that feels, that perceives, that senses things, the more we purify that, the less is there a veil between our higher nature and our lower. So by purifying our lower selves, in and of itself, it allows the higher self to influence us more. And the higher self always sees things that we down here can't. And I think that a part of what that higher self sees is ways to help people on that higher plane. And I don't know, it seems to me that by our lower self and higher self working together, something in our lower self enables the higher self to help even more effectively. That's the impression I get. If anything, what I just said makes sense.
Yeah, I mean the personality is a vehicle, can be a vehicle for the higher self, also for the lower self, but also for the higher self. And it is, and the more we develop ourselves, the more it becomes hopefully a vehicle of the higher self in which we act in this world. And in this way we can do more good, I think.
Does
Sorry.
yeah, go ahead.
Actually, I think, I mean, what I understand is like she's telling that this is related to the fifth point. I think she's saying that it's a different matter that put oneself upon the path which leads to the knowledge. We should have that knowledge to what to do exactly, and we have to discriminate between what is evil and what is good and evil. So if we understand that what is good and we can discriminate between good and bad, and if we have that knowledge, if we gain the knowledge that what should we do now, then this might be might get different, I think. And that is the power. She is saying that if you gain that knowledge, what to do, when to do, and what not to do, and what should be done, then that would be a power that whatever you will do, that will not be wrong, and you can do what is your the desires you have. I mean, suppose we have a desire that we should help others. So first of all, we have the knowledge that what should, I mean, if we act upon it, or we should stay calm. I mean, we should absorb it. We stay away and we need to absorb it. That let the things whenever when it is needed, then I can give my. I think I should, and in that way, we can. I mean, we can help others without lifting a finger. Means like as Pauline said and Seth said that. I mean, it's maybe we can give we can improve our vehicles, like we can give a positive thought for healing thought, or we can give a positive thought to someone. So that is also one thing. And one more thing is that without doing also anything, we can do so many things. Like sometimes it needed that our calmness is needed, our non-interference is needed. If we don't interfere in some things, then things will go smooth, I feel. This is my understanding. I don't know.
Yeah, that makes sense. I agree with that. If no one had anything else, go to the next number 7 here. Uh, 7. Moreover, there is one important fact with which the student should be made acquainted, namely the enormous, almost limitless responsibility assumed by the teacher for the sake of the pupil. Eight. From the gurus of the East, who teach openly or secretly, down to the few Kabbalists in Western lands who undertake to teach the rudiments of the sacred science to their disciples, those Western hierophants being often themselves ignorant of the danger they incur, one and all of those teachers are subject to the same inviolable law. To me, all this is kind of saying and maybe building up to how important it is that a teacher, whether that teacher be someone we actually see in front of us that speaks to us, or if it be someone who in the invisible planes is guiding and trying to help us awaken our higher perceptions. No matter, either way, a teacher, I think it's saying that they have to be very careful in who they try to help. And perhaps this is a buildup to that probation that oftentimes students are put on where they're tested before they actually receive any instruction. What is it? A 7-year probation that people who are aspiring to be taught by the masters receive before they get any kind of help at all. I think it's because of this enormous amount of responsibility the teacher takes. I don't know if anyone has thoughts on why that is, What makes the teacher take on so much responsibility of the student? If anyone has thoughts or any ideas. No, just no.
You hear me, guys?
Yeah.
I think yes, it is said in the master letters that the Mahatmas, I think she's referring to, or a teacher, will have a karmic link with the Chela or the lay Chela. I think is what it's referring to.
Yeah, I wonder what is underlying that karmic link. Or maybe that's it. It's just a karmic link. I don't know. The image that's coming in my mind is if you teach a little kid how to operate a lighter, and now it's kind of your fault if the kid burns down the house. And I don't know if it's something similar for the masters.
Makes sense, but at the same time, everything is interconnected. So ultimately, they've probably foreseen that reaction. It's crazy to think about, yeah. Like the level of synchronicities, or like the masters can speak to you through many agents, or the higher self can manifest even in the random situations. So I think everything is interconnected ultimately.
That's a good point. Yeah, and it reminds me too of an idea that I've heard before that say if a master were to visualize himself directly in front of you, that then opens the door for the opposite of a master to do the same thing, which sounds incredibly dangerous because then you have this entity, a dupa, I think it's called in TS literature, probably pretending to be a master trying to get you to do the wrong thing, which sounds terrifying. And I think, like you were saying, we can also hear the master's instructions through the randomness around us. I think that's probably protecting us. Because if we're trying to use our intuition to deduce in these patterns we see what is the direction I'm supposed to go, if the opposite powers working for selfishness try and do that to us as well, it's less of a chance that things are going to go disastrously wrong.
Can you repeat the first thing that you said? When is it going wrong? Like, you said something about when would be going wrong for the master.
Oh, so the idea, and I could be wrong about this, but the idea that I have is if a master does anything directly helpful to you in such a way that it's like a parent. So I think a master materialized in front of Walcott and gave him like a scarf in New York at one time. I think that opens the door for occult reasons for a dupa, which are like the anti-masters kind of people who have or entities that have powers similar to a master, but instead of working for selflessness and love, unselfish love, they're working mostly just to get things for themselves. And that's it. You know, working purely for yourself is in and of itself kind of making someone evil. It's just a matter of degree. And I think that the masters shy away from those direct manifestations of power to keep their opposite, the dupas, from being able to do the same thing to that person. Because I think that could wreck somebody easily. Did that make more sense?
And when are we opening up ourselves to these anti-masters, as you call it?
I don't know if we can do it ourselves. I feel like we probably can't. But if a master were of his own volition to materialize to us, I think that in and of itself opens the door for the anti-master. But this is all just conjecture on my part. I don't know.
Yeah, and Blavatsky spoke very strongly about the shells. For example, when mediums back then, they spoke very strongly about that because you could be channeling shells or lower entities, or she referred them as shells, I think. And yeah, that's That's what could be a problem.
Actually, the Dupas are like they are. I mean, the masters have some of them. I mean, the negative or the dark forces is when a person is trying to get purified. I mean, he is trying to get his trying to purify his vehicles, and he is trying to grow in the path. And he feels that suppose I'm telling you, like suppose I feel that I'm growing in the path, and I'm feeling that I don't have any jealousy feeling in me, or I don't have any angry emotion in me. So in that situation, whenever we feel that we don't have these negative qualities in us, that time the masters, I mean, when this initiates, I mean, those to be initiates or disciples in their cases, it happens like masters send their to pass to the person, so that whatever the tiniest bit of negative quality is inside you, the even at the somewhere in the corner as well, then when the dupas come, they bring it out from you, so that you will understand, that you will realize that no, that thing is not completely eradicated from me, and those lower qualities are somewhere there inside me, which is still exist. So you, because of that, they are there.
Yeah, good point. It makes me think of that the stronger a person is, the stronger their challenges will be. I think for karmic reasons, right? So maybe that's some encouragement if you're going through really hard times, that
Yeah.
it's because you're strong.
That's also what I heard. Like the stronger your light, also the more the shadow in you is gonna resist this light. So the shadow becomes, in a way, also, or it wants to become stronger in a way, but because the light is also stronger in you.
Mhm.
So you get these inner conflicts maybe more.
Actually, like if uh, there is suppose in on the mirror there is it's completely covered with dust, then a small tiniest dust will also include, then it doesn't matter, right? But if the mirror is completely clean, small tiniest bit of any mark or any dust, it is visible, right? So when you are getting purified, tiniest bit of your negative emotion or thought will affect your the smallest, the tiniest bit of negativity. He tries to, it shouldn't be there inside you when you become the disciple of the master, because if once you become the son of the master, then the consciousness and everything, it affects your consciousness, your thought affects the master's consciousness. Because of that, he wants whoever is before being the chela or the son of master, you're saying that once you become the chela, you become the son. You're the bond between master and the chela will become and father type. So before that, you to be completely purified.
Yeah, that makes sense. The more pure we become, the more obvious our impurities are, because now they stand out. Did anyone else have something on 7 and 8? Right. Would anybody want to read number 9?
I can go if no one wants. From the moment they begin really to teach, from the instant they confer any power, whether mental or physical, on their pupils, they take upon themselves all the sins of that pupil in connection with the occult sciences, whether of omission or commission, until the moment when initiation makes the pupil a master and responsible in his turn.
So there you have the answer on the question of responsibility, I guess. Because the master's taken all the sins of the pupil.
It's interesting that there can be sins of omission of things we didn't do in connection with the occult sciences. Like maybe, perhaps, if we gain some kind of power on any of those fields, even mental power, just being able to see things more clearly, we can sin by not doing something with it.
I feel like in the karmic effect of, for example, animals that just act on their animal intelligence, the karmic effect of a human is greater because we do have the knowledge upon which to act. So there is the difference. The more knowledge you have or access to these teachings, then you have more responsibility, and your karmic effect will be greater, I think.
Yeah, I totally agree. And also because we create a greater discrimination of good and evil. So if we see things clearer of what is good and what is evil, then if we don't act upon that, that apparently also creates what they call sins, because we don't do something about it while we see the picture very clearly.
And it says the sins aren't that individual's responsibility until he becomes a master, which I think is maybe a good reminder of the difference between us and a master. It's kind of like the difference between a child and an adult. There's something that they see that is inherent in reality, like the difference between a child and adult, that we don't understand yet. I don't know, that helps me to put my own perspectives and thoughts in perspective. Like there's something fundamental about reality right now that I don't get yet.
I'm just wondering, like, what initiation they are talking about here. But because there are multiple initiations, I don't think with one initiation we are immediately a master, but I don't know.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think in the TS tradition, when they become a master, they're done with human evolution. I could be wrong, but I think that's what it is. So it's like several of those initiations.
After third initiation,
Oh, was that the answer after the third initiation? Okay. Did anybody want to read 10?
thus it is clear why the teachers are so reticent and why chelas are required to serve a 7 years probation to prove their fitness and develop the qualities necessary to the security of both master and pupil.
Maybe this could be good consolation for when we're trying really hard to live a pure theosophical life and we have absolutely no guidance whatsoever. That, if we are trying to that level where we're maybe able to receive instruction from a master, if we're to that level, it's still going to be at least 7 years before we have any help. And maybe that'll make those 7 years a little easier to bear if we know it's a necessity.
Do you think that these 7 years are meant literally, or do we need to see them symbolically?
I personally think it's literal, but maybe it is metaphorical too.
Actually, things happen like once.
There's no more thoughts. I'll go to.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
sorry, actually. So it was 7 years means it is like some things. If we have, a normal person, if we have any habits, any bad habits or something, at least it takes some years. If somebody has some addictions or something, they keep that person in the rehabilitation center for some years. So I'm giving some the example. For example, I'm telling you this thing. So if master wants someone to be the chela, so all his negative qualities and negative desires and emotions should be vanished. That shouldn't be there. So because of that, he's told that 7 years, because every year you can grow like that. I don't know it is literal or metaphorical, but I think it's as well, because when I was a member of TS when I was 16. So I wanted to be a member of ES, but our secretary, our federation secretary, he told me that you have to read all the books and then you have to leave. If you are eating meat, then and any alcohol or anything, you have to leave everything. And then once after 1 year or 2 years, when you feel that no, you don't have any desires of eating meat or even taking alcohol or anything, then you just come to ES. He told me that. So I don't know how these things, but for the physical purification, if it takes a time, so maybe this for this our spiritual growth and this. I don't know, but it's my understanding.
Yeah, that makes sense. And those are some serious requirements from your secretary. I think you said to get admission to the TS. It's not like that everywhere. I don't know if this applies to this at all, but I think in astrology, there's an idea that, at least for humans, every 7 years we come around on a circle or a spiral, kind of back to where we were 7 years before. And that's a cycle in human life. I don't know if this has anything to do with that, or even if that astrological idea of 7 years is true. But it seems reasonable enough.
Because for becoming more of esoteric school, I mean, ES, criteria are there, right? I have a question.
And there is a chapter dedicated to number 7, I think, in the Secret Doctrine, also related as a very cold number, also because of the planetary chains and the globes and all of this, I think.
It's interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, 7 is an occult number. And also in the Bible, 7 is mentioned a lot, I think, and in other scriptures, I guess as well. But it's, yeah, 7 days in which the universe was created.
Yeah, there's 7 planes to this universe we exist in, which for a long time I would get confused with the 7 principles of a human versus the 7 planes of the universe or manifestation. Because humans, this is something else I learned from Self-Culture by rereading it. Humans only operate on the bottom 5 planes of the universe, according to him, which he seems trustworthy enough. And there's 2 planes above the atmic plane that humans don't have any real relation to at all, which I thought was interesting. And again, helps me get that perspective I'm always aiming at of just I don't understand things as they are yet. Did anybody have any final thoughts before we go to the meditation at the end? All right. And in these last 2 minutes, just 2 minutes of silence, can focus on anything that you think is meaningful or is helpful during the meeting.